10 Darkest Ways to Handle Disrespect, Stoic and Zen Wisdom. When someone disrespects you, your first instinct is to fight back, argue, or prove them wrong. But what if I told you that ancient masters had far more devastating responses, psychological strategies so dark and effective that they would leave your disrespectors questioning their entire existence? Today, I'm revealing 10 brutal ways to handle disrespect that will make people regret ever testing you, without you ever raising your voice. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." But sometimes, the enemy needs to learn why crossing you was their biggest mistake. These aren't petty revenge tactics, these are psychological masterpieces from Stoic emperors and Zen masters who understood that true power lies not in reaction, but in calculated, devastating response. Warning, these methods are dark, they're powerful, and they work. Use them wisely. Subscribe Animation with Bell. If you're ready to learn the art of psychological warfare disguised as wisdom, subscribe now. You're about to discover why silence can be more deadly than any weapon. Method 1, the Mirror of Indifference. The first and most brutal method is complete emotional indifference. Not fake indifference, genuine, bone-deep indifference to their existence. Here's why this destroys people. Disrespectful individuals crave reaction. They feed on your anger, your hurt, your defensive responses. It validates their sense of power and importance. But when you respond with authentic indifference, when you look at them the way you'd look at a piece of furniture, you rob them of their psychological oxygen. The Stoic emperor Marcus Aurelius mastered this. He would receive insults and respond as if observing the weather. No emotion, no reaction, just cold acknowledgement followed by complete dismissal. This isn't ignoring them, it's something far worse. It's treating them as irrelevant to your reality. You don't get angry at a barking dog or a crying child because they're beneath your emotional investment. When you achieve this level of genuine indifference, they feel it in their bones. The dark psychology, you're essentially erasing their impact on your world while they can feel their own irrelevance. It's psychological death by 1,000 cuts of being unimportant. Method 2, the Socratic Destruction. The second method comes from Socrates, destroy them with questions, not answers. When someone disrespects you, instead of defending yourself, start asking them questions. But not just any questions, surgical questions that expose their ignorance, their insecurities, and their logical inconsistencies. That's interesting. What evidence led you to that conclusion? Help me understand, what experience qualifies you to make that judgment? I'm curious, what would someone who truly understood this situation say differently? The beauty of this method is that you never attack directly. You simply guide them into exposing their own emptiness. You become the mirror that shows them their own intellectual poverty. Zen masters used this technique constantly. They would answer disrespect with questions so profound that the disrespecter would walk away questioning their entire worldview. The dark psychology, you're not arguing with them. You're performing surgery on their ego in public, using their own words as the scalpel. They can't accuse you of being aggressive because you're just asking questions. Method 3, the art of strategic agreement. The third method is perhaps the most psychologically devastating. Agree with their insult, then twist it into your advantage. Someone calls you arrogant. You're absolutely right. I am arrogant enough to believe I deserve respect, arrogant enough to have standards, arrogant enough to not settle for mediocrity like most people do. Thank you for noticing. This technique comes from both Stoic philosophy and Zen teachings about non-resistance. Instead of fighting the force, you redirect it with devastating precision. The psychological warfare here is brutal. You've just turned their weapon into your shield and then used that shield to crush them. They expected you to defend, to deny, to get upset. Instead, you owned their insult so completely that it became a compliment, making them look foolish for thinking it would hurt you. Master this, and people will stop trying to insult you because they'll realize their attacks only make you stronger. It's like trying to punch smoke, ineffective and embarrassing. Method 4, the silence that kills. The fourth method is the weaponization of silence, but not just any silence. This is calculated, uncomfortable, judgment-laden silence. When someone disrespects you, you pause. You look at them. You let the silence stretch until it becomes unbearable. Then you speak, but not about their disrespect. You speak about something completely unrelated, as if their words were so beneath acknowledgement that you didn't even process them. This technique draws from Zen meditation practices where masters would use silence to create profound psychological pressure. The silence communicates volumes. What you just said was so stupid, so beneath my consideration, that I'm going to pretend it never happened. The dark psychology: humans are terrified of being ignored or dismissed. This silence tells them they're not even worth a response. It's psychological exile. You're banishing them from your reality without saying a word. Advanced practitioners can make this silence feel like a judgment from the universe itself. People will replay that moment for years, wondering what you were thinking, knowing they've been found wanting. Method 5, the compliment assassination. The fifth method is giving compliments so backhanded they feel like psychological surgery. I really admire your confidence. Most people would be too self-aware to say something like that in public. You have such a unique perspective. I've never met anyone who could be so wrong with such conviction. I love how you always speak your mind, regardless of whether you know what you're talking about. This technique comes from the Japanese art of subtle warfare, appearing to honor while actually destroying. It's psychological aikido at its finest. The genius is in the delivery. You say it with genuine warmth, even appreciation. Observers might even think you're being kind. But the target knows exactly what just happened. They've been intellectually eviscerated with a smile. The dark psychology: you've publicly humiliated them while maintaining plausible deniability. They can't call you out without looking paranoid or oversensitive. Meanwhile, everyone who heard it knows exactly what you meant. Method 6, the elevation execution. The sixth method involves psychologically elevating yourself so far above them that their disrespect becomes laughably irrelevant. When someone tries to bring you down, you respond from a place of such philosophical height that their attack looks like a toddler throwing a tantrum at a mountain. I understand you're upset. When you're ready to have an adult conversation, I'll be here. I can see this is important to you. Let me know when you've had time to think it through properly. I appreciate your passion. Perhaps we can revisit this when you're in a clearer headspace. This draws from both Stoic concepts of preferred indifference and Buddhist teachings about rising above lower vibrational energies. The psychological devastation is complete. You've just repositioned yourself as the wise elder dealing with a confused child. Their disrespect is no longer an attack between equals. It's the confused thrashing of someone who doesn't understand the game being played. They can't escalate without proving your point about their immaturity. They can't back down without accepting your superior position. It's checkmate disguised as compassion. Method 7, the gratitude reversal. The seventh method is perhaps the most psychologically disturbing: thank them for their disrespect. Thank you for showing me exactly who you are. This saves me so much time. I'm grateful you said that. Now I know precisely how much respect to give your opinions. Thank you for the clarity. I was wondering about your character, and you've just answered that question perfectly. This technique comes from advanced Zen teachings about transforming poison into medicine. You're not just deflecting their attack, you're converting it into value for yourself. The psychological warfare here is brutal because it completely inverts the power dynamic. They thought they were hurting you, but you've just used their attack to strengthen your position while exposing theirs. It's like thanking someone for showing you their hand in poker while they thought they were bluffing. The realization that they've just given you ammunition against them is psychologically crushing. Method 8, the pity projection. The eighth method involves responding to disrespect with genuine pity, not anger, not hurt, but actual compassion for their obvious psychological pain. I'm sorry you're going through whatever is making you lash out like this. It must be really difficult to carry that much anger around. I hope things get better for you. I can see you're hurting. Is there something going on that's making you feel the need to attack others? This draws from Buddhist concepts of compassion and the Stoic understanding that hurt people hurt people. The psychological impact is devastating because it completely reframes the interaction. Instead of being your equal attacking you, they've become a wounded animal that you're observing with clinical compassion. This method doesn't just deflect their attack, it makes them feel pathetic for making it. Nothing is more psychologically crushing than having your aggression met with pity instead of fear or anger. Method 9. The reality redirect. The ninth method involves redirecting their disrespect back to their own reality with surgical precision. When someone disrespects you, you calmly redirect attention to their actual life circumstances, their failures, their obvious insecurities, but you do it as an observation, not an attack. It's interesting that someone in your position would feel qualified to judge others. I find it fascinating when people who struggle with their obvious problem try to critique those who figured it out. That's a bold statement coming from someone who, their recent failure/embarrassment. This technique comes from the Stoic practice of objective observation combined with Zen directness. The psychological devastation is complete because you've just forced them to confront their own reality while highlighting the absurdity of their attack. It's like watching someone living in a cardboard box criticize architecture. The disconnect becomes painfully obvious to everyone present. Method 10, the future prediction. The 10th and final method is the most psychologically haunting: predict their future based on their current behavior with calm certainty. People who treat others this way usually end up pretty lonely. I hope that doesn't happen to you. This pattern of behavior typically doesn't lead to the success you're probably hoping for. In my experience, people who need to tear others down to feel better about themselves rarely find the happiness they're looking for. This comes from the Stoic understanding of natural consequences and the Buddhist concept of karma as natural law. The psychological impact is devastating because you're not threatening them, you're simply observing the natural trajectory of their choices with the detachment of someone watching a predictable movie. This plants a seed in their mind that will grow over time. Every future failure, every moment of loneliness, every consequence of their behavior will remind them of your words. You become the voice in their head predicting their downfall, and they know you're probably right. These 10 methods aren't about becoming cruel or vindictive. They're about understanding that sometimes the most compassionate response to disrespect is to show people the natural consequences of their behavior. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." But he also understood that sometimes people need to learn why respect exists in the first place. These techniques work because they operate on a higher psychological plane than simple reaction or revenge. They don't lower you to their level, they illuminate the distance between your level and theirs. Remember, true power isn't about dominating others. It's about being so psychologically unshakable that their attacks become opportunities for you to demonstrate your superiority without ever needing to claim it. Use these methods wisely. Use them sparingly. And use them only when someone has truly earned the lesson they're about to receive. If these psychological strategies resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more dark wisdom from ancient masters. But here's my challenge to you: don't use these methods for petty slights or minor disrespects. Save them for people who truly need to learn the cost of testing your boundaries. In the comments, share your thoughts, but remember, the wisest responses often come from those who understand the power of strategic silence. And remember, the goal isn't to destroy people, it's to teach them why respect is given freely to some, and earned painfully by others. Until next time, master the art of psychological warfare disguised as wisdom.